So, I start every season off that way too. I literally, every single season. When you edit this, it's insane. I literally start off every season the same exact way. 2 letters, 1 word. So, we are in the 07-08 season after the Miami Heat were bounced unceremoniously in the first round. The final sweep of Shaq's career. I guess that's kind of a spoiler alert, but the final sweep of Shaq's career in the 2007 playoffs against the Bulls. And
do you think he's the most swept superstar of all time?
The most swept superstar?
Yeah.
The man who has had the broom brought down on him more than anybody? I think so. I think this is something we've talked about before, but I can't think of somebody that was like specifically swept. Lost playoff series, sure. Swept? I don't know.
Yeah.
What would you rather have? Would you rather be in a situation where you get to the playoffs but get swept in the first round every year? Or would you rather never get there in the first place?
I'd rather wait, you get to the playoff. Wait, what are you talking about?
You could be Tracy McGrady. Tracy McGrady wasn't swept his whole career, but like he never really made it to the finals. He never made it really out of the first round. And would you rather that, or would you rather be not make it at all? Just be like a superstar, have a sick regular season, but know when your season's ending every year.
Nah, I'd rather get swept. Fuck that. You're crazy. I
don't know. I think it's a fair. I feel like it could go either way. Go ahead.
Like what superstar? Well, it will be Devin Booker. Like think about how we looked at Devin Booker just 3 years ago compared to like someone like a T-Mac or like a Westbrook. Like if you look at Westbrook over the last 5 years, and he hasn't left the first round in the last 5 years or whatever, besides with the Houston Rockets. Like you still looked at Westbrook as, like an elite level player. Like you never looked at Devin Booker as an elite level player.
I still kind of don't, but that's neither here nor there. But fucking, I just think, I think Shaq is probably the most swept guy ever.
Most swept superstar, right?
Yeah, superstar. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's some unlucky guy.
Yeah, it just kept going.
Some unlucky bench player bouncing from team to team.
Smush Parker.
Yeah, there you go. Somebody like that. Fucking amazing. But the Heat for their game 1 rotation, it doesn't look that much different than the one we just saw in the playoffs. Like, trying to get to their first game. So, we'll get to the actual score in a minute, but I want to look at just the guy. So, Wade is injured heading into the first week of the year. Like,
well, he's rehabbing, right?
Yeah, because he had shoulder surgery from the problem. Like, he probably shouldn't have come back to end last year.
Shoulder and knee surgery. Right?
Yeah, he had the knee thing, but the shoulder was one of the main headlines from the previous year. So he's recovering from that. He's going to show up late to the regular season party. Yeah, so Ricky Davis made it from Minnesota to Miami. Who did what trade? What was the
Yeah, there was a trade in the beginning of the season. It was right. It was
preseason.
Preseason,
right before the regular season. Yeah.
Yeah, they had an 0-7 start in the preseason, and
yeah, it's important to know.
Mans felt like he was like, oh, we can't do this shit. We need to get some type of talent.
Yeah, well, I guess they looked at it without. They probably looked at it without Wade and was like, we are fooped. We are in trouble. Yeah. Like, let's go to the.
And they had already lost their like outside scoring and stuff, so they needed like some type of playmakers and stuff like that. So that's why they got Smush Parker. And
so yeah, here's the trade. They traded Antoine Walker Michael Doliak, Wayne Simeon. I've never heard of either of those guys. And a 2009 first-round pick, which later became Ty Lawson. So I guess that's kind of an L. To the Minnesota Timberwolves for Mark Blount and Ricky Davis. And like you said, they go 0-7 in the preseason. And they go up against Detroit, which in a lot of ways, has become like a mini rivalry, I guess. Like an Eastern Conference little.
They've seen each other every round, right? For the last.
Well, they didn't see each other during the playoffs last year because Bulls swept them out.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yep. So, but the 2 years before that, yeah.
It feels that way though because Ben Wallace was on the Bulls last year, so it feels that way a little bit because that matchup stayed the same. But top of the Eastern Division rival, right? And he just gets smoked. Tayshaun Prince has 34 and 12.
Yeah, that was his career high at that point, right?
I believe so. Yeah. Completely smacked. But the plan is supposed to be while this guy is out, the offense is supposed to run through Shaq. Now, two things got to happen for that to actually occur at this point in Shaq's career. He's got to stay healthy. He's got to stay out of foul trouble. And he's got to be efficient. So I guess there's three things. He's got to be efficient as well. And I feel like he's definitely still being efficient, right?
Yeah.
But if we look at some of the foul trouble, actually, I have a graphic for this.
I'm almost. Can you see is there any way to see the amount of touches he got per game? Because
no,
looking at some of that,
I don't have that stat. I might be able to find it. Let me see.
Because looking at a lot of those games, he's still like the offense definitely ran through Shaq, but it was not like it would be in like like in his prime where he could just like get to the rim at will. A lot of it was he would back the guy down, pass it out, set up position, lower in the paint, get the ball again, and then do some type of layup or hook shot or something like that. Like it wasn't. He wasn't really dominating. It was more so like he needed to get proper positioning in order to score each time.
You're talking about Shaq? Yeah, that's true. I agree. The touching stat only goes back to 13-14 season, so we're just out of range of that, unfortunately.
Well, because I saw in some games where they talked about like in the actual ESPN where they were talking about his touches. So
they probably have it like. It's the same thing as when you look back in newspapers before blocks and steals were a thing. Like some newspapers will keep it. So like I'm sure it's talked about, but they don't have like a solidified type deal. But
could I ask one thing? Could you check his usage?
That I could do.
Compared year to year. I'm just curious, just to see how much different it is in the last 3 Miami seasons.
If I don't know. Here you go. So through the 8 games, right? So that's the right date, right? 11-14. So 11. They played 7 games, so I got to go back one. Boom. I'm surprised this actually came up that easily. That was cool. I thought for sure I was gonna have to fucking work my way around that shit, but
well, I was just more so
28.6. We can compare it to the Heat.
You would need you need to use leader.
Could do it like this. So he is leading the team in usage rate by a hair. Udonis Haslem probably feeling like it's his time. Like he's in the peak of his, like from a physical standpoint, he's got to feel like he's at the peak of his powers. So it makes sense for him to get more involved down low, right? Yeah. But the Pistons are doubling the Pistons are doubling Shaq, and there's going to be a lot of that going into this part of the season. But after the first game, ESPN's going to write. Pat Riley said after the game, he may have a decision about Wade's rehab schedule Friday. But until then, Miami was to run its offense through Shaquille O'Neal. Problem was, the Pistons doubled O'Neal from the outset, holding him to 6 shots and 9 points, none of those coming in the first half. And one game into the season, the big fella isn't exactly happy. We took a lot of jump shots. Way too many jump shots, O'Neal said. I'd like more than 6 shots if we're going to win, especially until Wade comes back. So, one thing that I noticed through this period, right, where obviously Wade comes back within 10 games of the season, but for the first 7 games of the year, I feel like the biggest issue is my man, Ricky Davis. I feel like this boy is chucking hard body.
Yeah, he's definitely has the most attempts. But it's also like
minus 44. His plus minus is minus 44. Yeah. And the same thing with Jason Williams shooting 40%. They're just taking too many shots. 2 of these shots each should go to Shaq. If we're really gonna and I'm not typically when Shaq does this, and he's done this a few times in his career, it's unjustified, and I kind of think he's fucking the team up. But here it's like, what else is he gonna do? Like, what else does he have to do? There's nobody else here that should be taking more shots than Shaq at all. For a multitude.
Yeah, but I think you're just going off a name right now, though. Like in reality, this is the first. Like Shaq shooting 53% in his career. Like he's literally, in order for him to score average 15 points a game at this point of the season, it takes him 13 shots. And especially when a lot of your shots are, got to get into the post. I got to throw it back to the guy. I got to make sure that I get to the right position. And it takes forever. And also when you get double teamed and stuff like that, it just makes the game hardest shit to watch. But it's like, you can't run a proper offense like that. And at some point, a team is going to just clog the paint and make other people play harder.
28 divided by 7 is what?
4.
So figure 4 fouls a game from Shaq. Not going to help your case either. Also, this is fucking completely unacceptable for Shaq. This needs to be the free throws made number. Like this number needs to be like 10.
Yeah.
That's typically what we've seen through the majority of Shaq's career.
Yeah. And a lot of that is because he's just aggressive and attacking the basket. I'm watching some of those highlights. It was kind of really boring to watch because it's just Shaq's he doesn't look. This is what I talk about when he looks when I say he's like a walking liability.
Yeah.
What the hell are you gonna do with that? He needs almost perfect positioning.
Well, he should, but it's also I feel like him needing perfect positioning and stuff like that. He's in an era where, if he was trying to do this in the 90s with all those guys in their prime, I don't think he would be able to sustain any of this. Even what he's doing so far. But being in this centerless abyss where power forwards are moving to the center position and your competition is shrinking on you almost and stretching the floor. You'd think it would be easier for him to get buckets and to be more efficient and to just push his weight around that he obviously is not getting rid of at this stage of his career.
Yeah. Well, they're saying that he's lost some weight and stuff like that, but I guess he definitely needs much more to be less of an issue. To make it less of an issue for him.
No, it's just I'm looking at the free throw numbers and his free throws have progressively gone down since he's been in Miami. However, if he's going to be the focal point of the offense, he's got to get to the free throw line. He's just not doing it to start this year. And the Heat are going to fucking pay for it because they're going to go 5 and 15 in their first 20. Even when Wade comes back, it's not going to help too much.
Yeah.
Crazy. This team totally fell off a cliff. They went from champions to bottom feeders really fast.
Yeah.
Really freaking fast.
Do you think it's because Shaq was quitting on Pat Riley at this point?
So we're going to get into that a little bit. I think it's Shaq. I feel like he's just not happy with the situation. I feel like if he was getting more touches a game, it would be better for his like morale and personality. But I also think like he's just 35. Like,
yeah,
I don't know if it's perfect positioning he needs, but conditions physically have to be pretty damn perfect.
Yeah,
like he has to be feeling solid to really get his numbers up.
Yeah, because the funny part is like they start comparing him to like previous NBA, legends that were centers at that point. Though at that age and at that point in their career, and all of them were still thriving by that point. But I think his main issue is his weight, and I feel like the injuries are fake. Like I feel like I have a way to prove it as we keep on going deeper into the season. But I think he's just blaming it on his injuries, and I think he's realizing if I don't blame it on my injuries, I'm gonna lose a lot of money.
That's more than likely accurate. But I want to go back to something you said a second ago.
Yeah,
I have here some of the greatest centers to play the game to that point, with Shaq all at age 35. I'm just looking for the one season, right, at age 35 years old, whenever it was. It's not, because I kind of am under the impression that, I don't know. Okay, so here we go. So Shaq's is here, right?
Yep.
The bottom end of scoring, yes, but not like crazy far away from Hakeem Olajuwon. The standout here is Kareem, and honestly Patrick Ewing too at 35. It's impressive with his 20 and 10. But 4 of the greatest centers ever to this point are right around where Shaq is for statistics. Let's look at field goal percentage.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say Will was averaging 14 and 19.
Yeah, but the rebounds, it's a different. He's probably averaged 10 rebounds in today's game. Nah, in 71, 72 for sure. Like, the rebounds were still fucking weird. Like, nobody gets 19 rebounds in even past, outside of Rodman, nobody gets 19 rebounds past the 80s. Like, Moses Malone was like the last guy to really like destroy the boards like that. So I can't sit here and say, and also it's still 5 or 6 boards underneath Wilt Chamberlain's average of like 20 something that he usually does. So like,
but I mean, like
comparing him to himself,
dropped
it's
off.
still below.
He definitely dropped off, but this is also the year that they win like 20 something games in a row. Like they win the
record.
Championship. Yeah. So it's like all this stuff happened that like contextually he was definitely like the second guy to that team. Like it was him and Jerry West. And I
just think it's tough. I don't agree with the notion that Shaq at 35 is like further progressed than the norm. Like he's 35. Like I just feel like this is what happens when you get to 35. Like if you're solid at this age, that's the exception, not the rule. The rule is that's when you're out of your athletic prime and you got to be a really, really, really mental guy to make it work. Like,
so
and I don't know.
Saying like
it's not super surprising. So looking at PER, where
so do you think that these guys are still superstars? Like at this time, each of these guys?
I would say definitely for Ewing, and I would say definitely for Kareem. Like 82, 83 Kareem is still.
I think like there's no way Wilt wasn't a superstar by
Yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, there's no time in whenever Wilt was on the floor. Like, everybody, and he was also not committed to scoring, like way more committed to defensive stuff, as we know and have looked at previously.
Yeah. So I like.
To your point, win share is outrageous for Wilt.
You could go like maybe. I'd say 3 of the 6 are still at a high level. Personally,
that's fair.
Yeah, but I'm not mad. Like I personally, but I never had the only one that's more surprising to me is Hakeem, because I never really had Patrick Ewing as like I never cared much for
you know what? Maybe, especially at this point, like we have better centers than that. Like we've come across a few more good centers that kind of push Patrick Ewing out of people's minds. But before 2010 and before like when Patrick Ewing retired, he was considered a great center, like an all-time great center, like undoubtedly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And 20 and 10 and 35 is badass in 97, 98.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Like, that is badass. I didn't know that he actually did that. It's interesting. But I brought this whole thing up just to be like.
And the year after, he helped bring that team to a finals appearance.
He does. Well, it's part of it. There's a whole thing called the Ewing theory. It's really interesting. But I bring this entire thing up to say I think Shaq is being held to a somewhat unrealistic standard, considering everything that we had talked about getting to this point from the Laker run on to now. Like, I think when he decided to add weight intentionally, this was destiny for him. At some point, that was going to add up, and be it with injuries or just with general ability to move around and play at a high level. Like, it's just like, can he move better than the average giant at 35? Yeah. For fucking the NBA, it's just, it's a tough deal. Yeah. It's hard to ask a guy
step.
To do
once
that.
You lose that step, that matters a lot.
A huge step. When you're this big, when you're a huge guy like that, it's so much harder.
It's crazy to think. Kareem was 35 and 83. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, right. And he plays the rest of the decade out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's insane. It is. I agree with you. Completely fucking insane. Yeah. Like, and impressive. Impressive.
He wins another Finals MVP. Like,
yep. Yep.
Like,
and he's going to average 20 points for another 2 or 3 more years. Like, crazy. He's a savage. But at age 35, after being selected to 14 NBA All-Star games and winning 4 league championships, O'Neal looks more ponderous on the court without his signature spin moves and general quickness around the basket. He is adjusting to 7 new Heat teammates, most of whom appear to have fewer outside shooting skills than the players they replace. That's another interesting point. When you don't put the shooting around Shaq, it makes it way easier to clog that paint and make it harder for him to score. But Coach Pat Riley has had difficulty convincing the newcomers that it would be a smart thing to keep passing O'Neal the ball, which is crazy. And it's because things that are happening, like Shaq asking for more touches, and I think Wade during the first month or so of the year, maybe right before the year starts, he calls out Shaq and is talking about how Shaq's going to really have to step up and be the Shaq of old for us. The quote will be underneath me. But it's just, I think Shaq is being held to an unrealistic expectation for his advanced age. Am I wrong to feel that way? Because, I feel like you and I, through these last few years, have said multiple times, he's not really a superstar anymore. He's not really. But in the moment, he's still, and I brought this up a few times, he still looked at that way until around now.
Yeah.
And
but I also don't think
what a aura of respect this guy has got. My
Oh,
opinion.
yeah, for sure. But I also think that the game looked different too, like the way he
Sure.
needed to score and stuff. And maybe it looks different because Wade was there. I mean, even though him and Wade were getting injured, right after one after another, so they didn't get to
Yeah,
play
last
them.
year was just crazy.
Yeah.
Last year was crazy with that.
Yeah, but it's like I feel like it didn't look like how it looks now, like in terms of. But I think it's because they don't have a playmaker. Like before,
That
I
doesn't
think
help.
and Antoine Walker, he was pretty much like one of their playmakers, and he could get
Wade is their
get his own
playmaker.
bucket. No, yeah, I know, but like
Wade is their main guy to just facilitate and score in terms of general making plays.
Yeah, but for the last 2 years, Shaq hasn't really had him when he was on the court. So he would have to. You needed a guy like Antoine Walker or Jason Williams and stuff like that can make plays. And especially this year, Jason Williams is also diminishing, and the role players around him are getting older as well because they're just keeping the same. A lot of these, like if you look at the 2006 team, and you keep on going season by season, there's not that much change.
It doesn't feel that way, but when they say 7 new Miami teammates, you're like, oh, I guess there is. Like,
yeah, but
it doesn't feel. There. It doesn't feel. Yeah, to me, it feels like the main group of guys is maintained throughout this whole thing.
Shaq,
minus Antoine Walker, because Antoine Walker was a big part of the championship.
Yeah, it was Wade, Shaq, Haslem, Jason Williams,
Alonzo.
Morning. So like those core, like a lot of the core pieces are still there. So that's why they don't feel like it doesn't feel like it's much of a change. And they're the ones getting the bulk of the minutes anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And that's where you sign a guy like Ricky Davis, it screws you for things like this because Ricky Davis not really looking to pass at all. He's looking to get buckets. Yeah. And it's like, it's just they should have. They needed like a Rondo type guy. Like Rondo is around at this point. He's almost. I think he's a rookie
this is his 1 year.
But they need a guy, a pass first facilitator. Even if he was old, like that's where a guy like Gary Payton was helping you out for a couple of years, right?
Yeah.
Like Jason Williams, 7 assists a game in this beginning of the year part, but. Still, like, I don't know, just not what you need in terms of generating more plays.
Yeah,
Shaq's not going to be the guy to get you 30 a game anymore.
Yeah, my biggest issue with Shaq though is I don't see how he's ever averaging less than 10 rebounds a game at 7'1".
Shaq
being like he's a box out machine. If he would have went Wilt and said, you know what? Screw offense, and I'm just gonna strictly play defense and get rebounds. Like he should be averaging like at least 10, 15 rebounds a game.
I think without this Pheonix thing that we're about to get to, I think I would have disagreed with you. But the Pheonix situation proves you right because he's gonna.
Because you're saying the pace is so slow. That's why it's so low. That's why you would.
That too, yeah. Especially in this, especially for this team that through this first month of the year is averaging the fewest points a game at 86 points a game. Yeah. That is white dog shit. That is
Imagine
awful.
Watching a game where they're literally every night putting up 86 points. Like, how boring would that be?
That means they're not always putting up 86 points. That
I know.
You're getting a fucking 70 spot every once in a while.
Yeah, yeah. Like, if they had a 100-point game, that means they had a 60-point game somewhere.
I feel like these things aren't thought about in the moment, especially not at this era of time. But looking back at it, it's just hard to avoid. Like, it's hard to look past.
And I feel like, and it's the nostalgia of a lot of this stuff that people look at it and say, this is such great basketball. And it's like, bro, you were bored. Like, this was like baseball. Like, you could go get popcorn and stuff, and they might have not scored for the last 10 minutes. Like,
and that's why a little bit off topic, but that's why when we were doing our Michael Jordan hypotheticals, it was why it was hard to justify Michael Jordan's teams, despite being great, competing in these eras with higher scoring, because you got to have the skill and the personnel to get that done. And if you don't, this is kind of this is what happens. You get put in these shitty situations. But Shaq's best game of this early run, ironically, is a game against the Phoenix Suns where he has 25 and 10. Phoenix is going to win. Shawn Marion's going to have 17 points and 24 rebounds. You know, you look at stuff like this and you go, this is why they felt comfortable about taking this guy on. It's like, oh, what did he do against us? Oh, my God. 17, 24, and 5.
But Shawn Marion was actually super nice at this point. Like, he was really good at this point. Yeah, the Matrix.
Yeah.
And that, like, I feel like a lot of people, and that's why, like, even, we'll get to it, but a lot of people felt like the Heat might have lost this trade.
Yeah.
I mean, not the Heat, the Phoenix might have lost this trade because Shawn Marion is so nice. But another thing is Steve Nash also telling Shaq to suck my dick. This is why I won 2 MVPs and giving him 30 and 8 and saying, hold my sack.
I was like, he did? I didn't have that in my notes. He told him to suck my dick. I thought we were just talking about how nice Steve Nash is. Oh, man, we're fucked up. But no, Penny, about Shaq not being able to play to his... Okay, so further to Shaq's scrutiny, Pat Riley's theory is that Shaq, who has 2 more seasons after this one on his contract at $20 million each, draws intense scrutiny because he has had such a special career. Riley said observers tend to pick him apart more than embrace the 7'1", 330-pound O'Neal and what he's still capable of doing. I think that's what I was trying to show earlier.
It's a pity for me.
But it's so easy to jump on that negative bandwagon with people when you don't really know what's going on, said Penny Hardaway, who's known Shaq for a really long time now.
And this is where the bullshit starts coming.
I'm on the inside, so I know. If he was completely healthy, hadn't had any injuries, played every preseason game, and just didn't have it, I'd be honest and say, right now he's struggling. But he has had injuries and has not practiced much at all. So it's hard to tell right now.
Okay. So I have proof of my theory, and it's coming up soon. But it literally is like people cannot believe that Shaq is not Shaq anymore, and they're just like keep on trying to make up this injury bullshit, and it's like, okay, but are you watching him play? Like, this doesn't look like it doesn't look like, even if he was like 80%, he would look like that Shaq. But
agreed.
One thing that I found very interesting is a lot of the quotes from the players after this Phoenix game, and a lot of the Heat players are coming up like, we were so close, like we played almost perfect. And I think Riley might have said that we played almost perfect, and we didn't come up with the win. Versus I saw Steve Nash saying, you know, that we played a pretty shitty game, and we still came up with the win. So it just shows you the difference in team, like where these teams are at this point in their career.
100%.
Yeah, which is insane, because it's like these guys played a shitty game and still beat them, and these guys are still looking for a win, you know. And in the end, the Heat were here for just in the NBA Finals 2 years ago. That's insane. That's how quick.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, it's crazy how fast it all turns and how much a team can alter itself in the course of maybe 3 seasons. But to your point, Shaq's playing, but he does have, quote, a bruised left thigh after bumping with Charlotte's Emeka Okafor in the Heat's second preseason game. And it's still hampering his play. Riley estimated it could be 20 to 25 games into the season before he felt healthy. So you feel like they're covering for him.
Yeah, because think about it. Second game of the preseason. That means they played 7 total games in the preseason, right? Yeah. So that's 5 extra games that Shaq, and I don't think Shaq played the rest of the preseason, did he?
I don't think
it doesn't
so,
even matter. But with that, and then you also still up to what, like this is the 6th game of the season. That's almost 3 weeks, Russ.
Yeah.
from that point. You telling me a bruised hip? Like, I understand you're 35, but it don't take 3 weeks for a bruised hip to know.
Yeah, but
like,
let's say fuck it. Let's say fuck it, and it takes 2 months, right?
Yeah.
December 12th. Now you're averaging less. You're shooting a little bit. Your shooting is the same, and this is kind of his point.
Yeah.
Shaq's point when asking, because it's really weird. On one hand, he's injured. He can't do more, whatever. And then on the other hand, it's like, oh, if you give me 15 shots, I can make this many by percentage, and then we're lit.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. He's just like, all right, if I make it 55% and I shoot 20 shots, I'm gonna easily make 14 of them. Like, come on.
Yep.
Like, he's a fucking asshole. Like, so it's just like, no one, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't do that. Like, it doesn't make sense. Especially if you're watching him play. There's no way that someone who is watching this guy play is thinking he's the same guy from even a year ago.
Yeah, facts.
It's like a huge drop off.
Because now you're getting into the season, and it's almost, and we were talking about this at the end of last year with Pat Riley. They're almost just playing like the league is passing them by in terms of play style.
Yeah.
And this goes back to Pat Riley being like, oh, this is what I've done my whole career. Can't stop now. Like,
yeah,
you are seeing the fucking repercussions of that too.
Yeah.
Because Wade, when he comes back, should be able to help them, and he doesn't.
Yeah,
like at all.
But one thing with Pat Riley, though, like in his defense, I really do think the next 3 years are actually something Pat Riley was somewhat used to. If he would have had, let's say Shaq, let's say he didn't have Shaq, and somehow in that trade he got, I don't want to say Stoudemire because it's too much. But like,
yeah,
say like a decent center, I think they would have been in the mix and in the hunt. Because think about it, like the big guy, little guy thing was kind of a thing at this point. A little bit. Like, you had Kobe and Powell. You had Bron was trying to do that with like Verjao or Ilgauskas, but none of them were good enough. You had like, even like with the big three Celtics, like you still had like the guards but it was more of a big three thing. But you had some of that, like even with Dwight and Orlando, like Turkoglu and Ray Lewis kind of played a similar role to that, even though they were more
Rashard Lewis.
Yeah, I said Ray Lewis. I always do that with him because I don't know.
It's fine.
But the big man little thing, like he did that with Magic and Kareem. He could have possibly at least been a contender in these next 3 years. I just felt like Wade didn't have the full personnel for it.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you'd think Riley would have gotten worse as a general manager under the same mindset he has as a coach, but he obviously doesn't have that mindset because he's built multiple winners since then, just not coaching. But getting into December, like we were looking at, they lose to Portland, and they're 4-14 on the year. And okay, so it's their 14th loss in 18 games, which is it sounds worse. Like 4-14 looks bad, but when you hear it that way, it's even worse. It sounds even worse.
Yeah, and especially since like Shaq's bitching about the touches, but then it's also like even Riley's like bitching about the team and saying how like like how much they care and their effort, but then it's also like he's shitting almost on the personnel too, because he says something. He says like Smush Parker, he doesn't like the way he runs point guard, and he'd have to be shooting guard. But that's Wade's position, so he's pretty much like gonna have to like be losing minutes because of that. And I just want to say that Pat Riley, within 5 games, felt the same way Kobe Bryant did. So, like, for everybody to give Kobe shit about what's the Smush Parker bullshit, Pat Riley was on the same bullshit. So I'm just saying. I just needed to say that.
Riley's quote: "Unless you feel like you have something at stake or something to lose as a player, then things won't change. If you don't feel like the Heat means something to you, you have to have a real meeting with yourself about what you care about. I don't see a team that really feels like they have anything at stake here. They come in, they play, they get beat, they go home, they go out into the night. Violation, savagery, straight
and that's like
savagery.
Straight. That's the team's integrity right there. Like pretty much, he's just straight up attacking.
Facts. And then, so like after the Portland game, several weeks ago, teammate Dwayne Wade called out Shaq for not being motivated enough to turn his team around and shake Miami out of a lousy 1-8 start. That's what I was talking about before.
Yep.
But Shaq, here's the quote we were talking about earlier from Shaq. If I'm taking 20 shots a game, it wasn't 15, it was 20. So he's even more fucking dickheaded.
More delusional.
Yeah. If I'm taking 20 shots a game and I'm only making 2, then you can say my production is going down, Shaq said. But I'm still shooting 60 or 65% from the field. So they've got to find better ways to get me the ball. It should be simple. I don't understand how this manages to happen in this motherfucker's career. All the time.
I literally wrote on my notes, sounds familiar. But it's funny, like, I like how his example is so extreme, though. It was like, if I go 2 for 20, then you could bitch. It's like, when is Shaq ever going to go 2 for 20? Like,
I think that's shooting, the point.
But when was the last time he had a 20-shot game?
Great question.
I feel like I would almost like, at least by the beginning of, probably the beginning or middle of last season, maybe.
This is the last time. He's going to have one more game coming up next year where he's going to, we'll get to that game when we get to it. But the last time he had a 20 field goal game was March of 2006. So before their championship was the last time he had it. This is just regular season. In the playoffs, I'm sure he had other ones, but.
And this is still him and him like just ending his prime.
According to the world.
Yeah.
According to you and me, I'm not so sure.
Yeah. I think it was like 05. It was probably his last.
That's what I'm saying.
Superstar season. Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like we nailed it earlier. I think he is delusional. But O'Neal seems to accept that the eye is naturally drawn to his 7'1" frame, making him an easy target for anybody trying to fathom how a team with 4 starters left from its title run is giving the dysfunctional Knicks a run for the worst team in the Eastern Conference. I understand that, Shaq said. I have no problem with that. I guess referring to himself as a target. O'Neal marketed himself as invincible, and there was truth in his advertising when he was toppling defenders as if they were bowling pins or spinning off opponents for thundering dunks. But what does Superman do when he's no longer spry enough for his signature bunny hop to the hoop? When age, the universal kryptonite, and accumulated aches and pains have made him mortal.
I think things like that,
great point,
are what make Shaq the way he is with superstars today. This is why he's always like, you got to be able to handle the media criticism. Like, I had to do it. Like, he always says stuff like that because he, like, it is true. Like, we do. Well, I mean, honestly, these last 2 years, you've seen a little bit more scrutiny on him. But, like, before that, I was just bitching about, like, these guys are making it seem like this guy's still a superstar and he's not. Like, so he got a little bit of both. But he definitely, like, once they go hard on him, it's like they're relentless.
Yeah, so that's what I was about to. That's the next question I was going to ask you. Give me a percentage in terms of his whole career for positive media versus negative media. I would say 75% negative media for Shaq.
Negative?
Like, the good stuff is really good, but strictly from a basketball standpoint, magic stuff, he's getting killed. Like,
but not the first 2-3 years. He's not.
Yeah, but
he was still getting some shit. Like,
maybe not the first
that he
year,
wasn't.
But like, after he beats Jordan, he's getting shit. Yeah, like after he beats Jordan, he's getting shit. Lakers era, before he wins championships, he's getting a ton of shit.
Yeah, that's true.
Then
We had the Wilt stuff. Yeah.
yeah, and then the Lakers 3P era is
More
they're on
his
Shaq's side during
Yeah.
the Kobe stuff, so that's more positive. But then once he gets to Miami, that first year is overwhelmingly positive, and then after that, people still call him the best player in the world, but it's ultimately like, eh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'd say it's like that prime era where he gets all the love, but
Yeah.
strictly basketball, because like off the court stuff, he's getting lots of love. Like he's seen as the most entertaining basketball player in the world.
Yeah.
And you know, people still love the Shaq. People still love the character he created. But that's why I love the way this article put, what does Superman do when he's no longer spry enough for his signature bunny hop to the hoop? It's got to be crippling for him. It is, obviously, because he can't accept it. Like, there's one, and we've seen this Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde thing through this whole Miami run, where he's like, on one hand, he's like, I'm an older guy. This is Wade's team. Like, everything should go through Wade. I'm just here to help him. And then he's fighting that alpha dog where he's like, I need the ball 20 times. Like, I don't understand why the ball's not going to me. I'm still the diesel. Like,
and this is exactly why I can't remember what season it was, but I remember we were talking about it, and the reason I was saying that I didn't think he was truly maturing is because when things go bad, he always reverts back to that childish behavior where he's like, you got to feed me the ball. You know what I mean? Like, if you looked at it when he, like, in I think it was the 2005 series in the Eastern Conference Finals, he bitched about not getting the ball. 06, he was better, but it was because they were fucking winning. And then after that, you just see him going back to what he's used to, because he feels like he should be the reason that they win. But the whole thing is, if it takes you 58 minutes throughout the game to score the 28 points, like, it's kind of sucks to watch, and no one wants to play on that team, bro.
No,
like,
no.
It's like, hold on, wait, boy, let me get it. I'm ready.
Give it into the diesel.
Like,
it's like throwing a basketball into a black hole.
Yeah.
Like, it's just crazy.
It's like give it to me. I'm Shaq. That's the reason. That's the reason we're running this offense, because I'm Shaq. Like, get the fuck out of here.
To your point, it is a familiar bark. This insistence by O'Neal that the big dog needs to be fed, it led to his banishment from Los Angeles, where O'Neal and guard Kobe Bryant teamed for 3 championships before the players' insatiable hunger for the ball resulted in O'Neal being traded to the Heat in 2004. Exactly your point. Yeah. This part I thought was the most interesting. Riley said he wanted Shaq to venture out from under the basket for hook shots and to try and score off the pick and roll. Kind of like a guy he had, I don't know, in the 80s. Some dude. O'Neal, so far, has resisted so vehemently in one recent practice that Morning reportedly had to step in between O'Neal and Riley. I don't have a rough spot with Pat, Shaq said. I want to win, but I've been winning my way. I'm not going to change at age 35, 36. Gee, what does that sound like? Weird. Sounds just like Pat Riley from like 6 months ago. Like-minded people don't fucking, they always do this.
Yeah.
Always. To that, like, and they're both stubborn to the core, and they're both, and Pat Riley's looking at it like, look, this is what Cat did, and look how fucking long he played under me. Yeah. And Shaq's looking at it like, motherfucker, I'm not Cat. If I would dominate Cat, Cat would be getting teabagged by my fucking ball sack. Yeah. Like, it's just very stubborn, arrogant people.
Do you think at 35, like, this Shaq could mess with?
Mess with who? Kareem in basketball or in fighting?
Yeah, in basketball.
I was gonna say in fighting, I'm picking Shaq, but in basketball,
why would I ever talk about Kareem and Shaq in fight? Shaq's a cop. Like, Shaq's over here.
He has experience in beating people up for no reason. You're right.
Yeah.
Fucking, but I don't know. I think like I'd take Kareem.
Oh, for sure.
Shaq's not blocking the skyhook.
Shaq.
Definitely not 35-year-old Shaq. No chance.
Kareem's gonna be like, whoop, it's gonna be looking all different.
And this is 82, 83 Kareem. Like, he's still
very relevant in the NBA. That's what I'm saying. Like,
where Shaq
he was. A lot of people thought he was still the best player in the league at this point.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But I don't think it was Alonzo Mourning that had to step in between Pat Riley and Shaq. I think it was Udonis Haslem.
Oh, for sure.
And the reason why I say that is because in 2021, so within the last year, so we're recording this in August of 22, big UD, still playing, by the way, just announced this last week of August, that he is coming back for his 20th season. So, Udonis Haslem, basketball icon, right? There was a lot of tension between Pat and the players. So we're about to start practice, and Jason Williams comes in about 10 seconds late. Pat, being Pat, starts swearing and screaming, "Get the hell out of here." Sure, he said, "Get the fuck out of here," but whatever.
Oh, for sure.
I tell Pat we're a team and we need to stick together, not throw guys out of the gym. Pat is screaming at me and says if I don't like it, then I should get the hell out of practice too. That's when I said, "Why don't you make me?" I start taking a couple of steps towards Pat. Udonis Haslem steps in, and I shove him out of the way. Then Alonzo Mourning tries to grab me. So I guess Alonzo was involved in it.
But then he moved him out. He moved him out of the way too, right? And Alonzo's a big boy.
So Shaq says, I threw him aside like he was a rag doll. Now it's me and Riley face to face, jaw to jaw. I'm poking him in the chest, and he keeps slapping my finger away, and he's getting nasty, noisy. He's yelling, "Fuck you!" And I'm yelling back, "No, fuck you!" Udonis. I thought Udonis was saying that first quote, but it was indeed Shaq saying that quote. Udonis says this: "It wasn't even a fight. They were just going at it. The fight was me trying to hold Shaq back, and he threw me like a sack of potato chips." I'm trying to save Pat's old ass, and Shaq grabbed me and swung me. He threw me down like that, and I was just trying to stop him. Imagine if he really wanted a piece of me. I would have had to tase him.
That was so hilarious. Like, what the fuck?
Fuck you, Shaq.
Just, like, why would you have a taser in that moment? It's like,
this altercation occurred in December of 2007. So right around, I don't know, here, when Shaq is trying to get himself back into shape, but also he has basically 2 injuries here in 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
He is, let's see, he bruised his left hip on the 22nd of December when he dived for a loose ball and slid under the scorer's table during a win over Utah, and then aggravated in a loss against Philadelphia, where he's only played 28 minutes, and he hasn't played since. This article came out
they
in
lose
January.
Like at least 14 straight games, at minimum 14, because that's just as much as I can count while you have that your thing up. That's crazy. More than that, 15 straight games before they get the first W against Indiana. And lose another 5 games, kid. Yeah, they won 20 and 1 in 20. That's insane.
Considering they have the same guys, like the same core, like we've been talking about, it's really crazy how fast they fell off. Like, I think that is interesting. But they were absolutely in free fall. Like, I'm talking jumping out of a building with no parachute. Like, just absolute free fall. The hip injury and a sore left knee have contributed to the least productive season of Shaq's 16-year career. He is averaging 14 points and 7.8 rebounds in 29 games. Just and he gets the hip injury, right? And then he comes back, and he's immediately injured again. Just right back hurt. I think it was
He might be faking it, though, in my opinion.
Think?
Oh, for sure. another thing though, and one thing we didn't take into consideration about the 15, talking about the years, like how old they were. This is Shaq's 16th season. Like, if you go into like Kareem's 16th season, or Wilt didn't even play 16 seasons, like, so that also is relevant to like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100% agree.
I'm sure there was somebody 30, 40 minutes ago that was listening to us like, fucking idiots. This is Shaq with 16 seasons on his career. Go suck a cock, boy.
Suck on my fat dick. Fucking, but
thank you for listening. I love you.
But thank you so much. I love you, Billy. Please subscribe.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let us know how much
it's free.
Assholes we are.
It's $3 to do it.
Seriously, like, you know how quick it is to just click. I click people's shit and I don't even know them. You know us.
Yeah, one day maybe we'll charge you money for things, but for now it's free. For now it's free, so you might as well jump on the fucking bandwagon before it's too late, people.
Yeah,
but in an interview Thursday, O'Neal strongly disputed media reports this month that reportedly characterized the All-Star Center as being prepared to retire and walk away from the last 2 years of his 5-year, $100 million contract. That's where we were at this point, after this free fall.
What you think that was, Russ? You think that's true or not?
That he was going to retire?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, because I think it's cap. All right, I'm gonna stop being goofy. Let's keep going.
I hate you so much. Fucking cap. But no, I think. You know what? Kobe doesn't have his rings yet, right?
Yeah. Oh, don't do this, Russ. We're not about to start this. Think Shaq's all about his money, boy.
Yes. Like so that's the number one point. But the second point is, after this year, there's no way he's fucking retiring. Once Kobe gets that fourth, like,
he doesn't win this. Kobe doesn't win this year. Kobe wins next year.
Right, that's true. You're right. Yeah. I'm wrong. See, this is why it's not his legacy breakdown. Fuck him. I shouldn't have talked about him anyways. Piece of garbage. Anyways.
Whenever you're talking about the God, oh, wait. I never even, especially since we have at least a decent audience. So back in 2008, I created Kobeism. And this was it's a religion, and it's pretty much you have to take Kobe Bryant as your Lord and Savior, and moving forward you will have Mamba mentality, and your life will change forever. You'll become at least decently successful in whatever the fuck you want to do because you have a better mentality. And now, so I just wanted to let you guys know about Kobeism.
That was it? There's not even a point? Nothing?
At this point in life, I was helping them with a new religion. At this point in life, Kobe was creating this, and then I was one of his disciples. I'm like, what is one of those 12 disciples? Name one of them. I'm like Luke or something.
Yeah, Peter. Saint Peter.
Yeah, I'm Peter.
You're the Pope.
Yeah, but they call me.
They call you Popey.
Yeah, Popey. Kobe.
Popeyism.
All right, let's go.
All right.
My bad.
After we offended the entire Catholic religion.
No, hell no. If y'all offended by Kobeism, y'all can suck Frank.
I'm the son of an Army drill sergeant. When we enlist, we go out full term. So I got 2 years left on my term, and then after that, I'll be looking to do other things. Yeah. That's interesting.
And you know the only reason he didn't do that? Don't act like we don't know, Shaq. You pretty much told us. You were cocky.
But Shaq, I'm not the type to say every game, my leg is hurt. I just tried to do it the old school way for so long. Just play on, rather than try and get healthy. I'm not even playing at 50% right now. I just got to focus on getting that leg strong. Thoughts?
This is all a marketing scheme for Shaq. Shaq has literally explained to us throughout like all of his post career about how he was a marketing genius, and what his main thing was, I need to make sure I get this money. And a lot of people are just gonna be like, I'd rather cut you, and then like let's say the Heat would have cut him and just said we're gonna eat this. You know how many teams wouldn't have taken Shaq after that? That automatically makes him look like he knew. I gotta make it seem like it's my injuries, not me. And yeah, it's our marketing.
Well,
scheme.
it's really easy to do that because the media is going to give the assist. I do think it's partially the injuries, though, for sure, because O'Neal has missed an average of 20 games over the past 6 seasons because of an array of injuries. The earliest he could return from the current injury, the list is like this big of injuries, but the earliest he could return from the current injury under the timetable released by the team is February 6th at Detroit. And that's really important to note because he ain't making it there. He ain't making it to February 6th because on February 6th, Shaq is involved in a trade. The Heat hit the eject on the Shaq experiment, right? Just straight up ejector seat right out of a plane with no gas in it. What is their record when they trade Shaq? What is their final? 9-38.
I think they're worse than the East at that point. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're worse than the East.
They are. It's one of the worst records in the whole league. Just absolute booty juice. Horror awful. But
do you look? Well, like that's definitely a damper on Shaq's legacy right there.
Yeah, to an extent. But it's 9 also like
38.
I stand by that. I think it was too much expectations on a guy at his age expecting. I just think it was. I think they expected way too much from him, and I think going to Pheonix from Shaq's standpoint makes all the sense in the world. The Phoenix Suns have the best record in basketball. I'm pretty sure.
Yep. No, the third best record. They were third in the West.
Yeah. It'll be on your screen. I just wanted to pull up some fun facts about this team. This is the era of the 05, the era of the 05-06 Suns. The era of the 7 seconds or less Phoenix Suns. A team that changed basketball in a lot of ways. Yeah. Totally revolutionized the game. And all these stats that I'm about to show you are from 2004-2005 when Shaq made it to Miami to now in 07-08. And the Suns are points above anybody else in total points a game, right? Yep. Most assists per game. Best, obviously, most field goals made. Most threes. They have the most threes of any team in a significant period of time. Best 3-point percentage. This team is the prototype and the archetype, really, for a lot of the great teams we see today in the 2020s. Like, a lot of them. This is the formula.
Yeah. This is part of where Golden State got some of this stuff. A lot of
100%. Who's their general manager? Who trades for Shaq?
Steve Kerr.
Steve Kerr. The coach of the Golden State Warriors now, but one of the original architects of the 7 seconds or less Phoenix Suns. They are the fastest paced over this period of time. They have the best offensive rating. Steve Nash has the best offensive rating in the Western Conference when playing at least 30 minutes a game over this period of time. With a 122.2, that is badass. Steve Nash, 2-time MVP during this period of time. Shaq disagrees with him. We already talked about that. Fucking, the biggest problem for this Suns team is during this period of time, of all the playoff teams that have played 45 games and have been to the playoffs enough, they have the worst record. They don't have nearly as much success as Detroit and San Antonio, the other two teams in this conversation.
Both champions.
And both champions, both finals appears. Yeah. They've made multiple NBA finals. Suns haven't sniffed a finals. And one thing does happen right before this trade is another trade. Right? Let them know.
Oh wait, hold on. You want me to go get it? I can go get it, but you already know. You already know what happens. They're scared of little old Powie boy.
Mm-hmm.
Niggas are scared of little shitless. Just shitting all over the place.
The Lakers
Steve
trade
Kerr bitching.
The Lakers trade for Pau Gasol, right?
Yeah.
The Lakers trade for Pau Gasol, and where are the Lakers in terms of record?
They're top 3, I think, in the West at this point. No, they're not. I don't think they are. I think they're like top 5, maybe, in the West, maybe. If they were top 3, they might have been. They might have been top 3 in the West before that. Because I remember people fronting like Kobe should have won this MVP, and they bugging the fuck out.
So the Celtics had the best record. I remember that because this was the KG, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, the beginning of that. Lakers are 31-17, so they're in the mix.
Okay. Yeah, so
most of these are West teams.
They would be fourth in the. Yeah, they would be fourth. I think they finished first in the West. By the end of the season. But
I bring this up to say the Pau trade is huge, and it scares the shit out of everyone in the West because that exactly. The balance of power felt shifted, and I think the Phoenix Suns, who kind of feel like this is their time. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
They're kind of looking at it like if they don't do something here, it's going to slip away.
Yeah. And they also, the main thing is that they really felt like the best player in the league just finally got a sidekick.
That was how a lot of people felt.
Yeah.
For sure. There were many that felt that way. But Steve Nash, 33, right? Amare entering his prime at 25. You got to feel like Shaq is super helpful to Amare. If you're just looking at it like Steve Kerr, right?
Oh, for sure.
He's bringing the locker room together a little bit. Because obviously Steve Kerr doesn't know about Shaq's blood-curdling hatred for Steve Nash and the MVP stealing. So it's not his fault.
Yeah, but they were also having... So the Suns were having internal disputes, like issues, because the hierarchy at the time was Nash, Amare, Marion. And Marion... just the year before had asked for a trade, and he didn't like his role as the third guy.
Yeah,
he clearly felt like he could be more. So that's what made him want to leave. So that was already causing internal friction, where Steve Kerr felt like Shaq could fix a lot of that stuff as just a leader
and a general team chemist, and you're getting rid of Marion, which obviously helps with that. But it's a very basic 2-for-1 trade. And the Heat are just looking to build around Dwayne Wade every winking second that he plays going forward. That's it. They're committing to Wade. They totally blew it up. They said, fuck it, we're 9-38. Getting the fuck out of here. Yeah. Phoenix, looking at it like they have the worst defense. So here you go. So Coach Mike D'Antoni's run and gun attack, a novelty when he installed it during the 03-04 season, was starting to look a little frayed. The Warriors and the Nuggets have taken the Suns' blueprint and run with it, while the Suns, uncharacteristically, scored 90 points or fewer in 12 of their first 53 games. Their record in those games was 3-9. So they're seeing this era that they've kind of created, in their mind at least, slip away. And it's like you got all these guys, and it's similar to what Miami did in 2006. It's like we get all these guys, they're old, but they're hungry. They they want it. They want to get this. They want to make this happen. And for Shaq, it's like, if you're still mad at the Lakers, there's no team that plays the Lakers more than Phoenix.
Yeah.
They're in division, and you're going to see them in the playoffs.
They're like the Lakers' biggest rivalry. They literally bounced them out the playoffs 2 straight seasons.
Yep.
So
And so the improbable pairing of the Suns and Shaquille O'Neal went from rumor to near reality overnight. The last major ropa was the 14-time All-Star center passing a physical. A league official speaking on the condition of anonymity told the Associated Press the deal will be complete Wednesday, right? So
And this is why I feel like a lot of it is bullshit.
okay.
So my reasoning is, if Shaq was really injured as much as they made it seem he was, the physical would have been more of an issue.
Okay, interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
We do know that Shaq, he gets traded. He passes the physical. He gets traded, and he misses another 4 or 5 games with the Suns.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. But I think if the injuries were as bad as everybody made it seem, and as Shaq made it seem, where he's saying he's playing at 50%,
right?
I think the Suns would have looked at it as, we got a 35-year-old Shaq who hasn't played, who's missed at least 20 games each season,
right?
And he clearly looks diminished. Why would they take him if he was that injured? They looked at it as he wasn't as injured as at least the doctors said he wasn't as injured as everybody was making it seem, because they even say like, oh, they were surprised at how good his scans and stuff looked, right?
Interesting.
But then I'm sure that now Steve Kerr is looking at it, and Mike D'Antoni, we have the best offense in the league.
Yeah.
Shaq's averaging 15 and 10 or whatever the hell he's averaging, or 14 and 11, whatever, 14 and 8.
Yeah.
That could bump up in our offense. We're playing at a faster pace. Sure, we might have to. It will help I'm sure, because I know for a fact that their half-court offense was nowhere near as good as their they always like to rush the ball because their half-court offense wasn't as great. It was all Steve Nash in the half-court. You needed to set him up for like a pick and roll and pick and pop in order to get anything in the So Shaq would at least change things up with him getting the ball in the post and then being able to switch up the tempo sometimes.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he's thinking of all of that stuff if he's saying Shaq's not that injured. And that is my whole thing. Shaq's not that injured. He's just diminished. Like, he's not the same guy anymore. And we stop blaming it on fucking injuries.
So Suns official says, if he's healthy, Shaq fits into any system. We're not asking him to carry our team, which is another important factor. This is the opposite of the Miami situation where he's got to put up the scoring load or he's going to be in trouble. Here, you don't want him getting more than 10 shots a game. Like, you have guys that can spread the ball around, and there's lots of shooters around him. But I think this is another.
Sorry, just to add to you. And this is a perfect time for him to go pure wilt. Play defense, get rebound.
Yes.
That's literally what they wanted. Like, because they talk about it a little later too, where when they play the Lakers, like they have been out rebounded like 152 to 108 or something by the Lakers. Yeah. And then in that game, they out rebounded them like 46 to 33. And it was because Shaq's presence. They needed that rebound. They just needed defense and rebound, and they would have been fine. Because Marion, they lost a much better defender in Sean Marion. But if Shaq would have strictly focused on rebounding and just got rebounding, and I meant defense. Sorry, this whole time I meant defense. If Shaq would have focused on his defense and rebounding, that would have been perfect for what Pheonix needed, and he didn't want to do that because he played a certain way.
Well, here's the part where I just don't know how if you're reading the newspapers, why you would make this move if you're Pheonix, because acquiring O'Neal appears to be a philosophical concession. Pheonix officials disagree, saying that it will be Shaq who must adapt to the Suns system and not the other way around.
Yeah.
When has he ever done that? Never.
He hasn't.
Otherwise, he would have stayed in Miami.
Yeah.
It's just so.
That was literally his biggest issue in Miami was. Yeah, I've been doing this for 20-something years. For 50, since I'm 35, 36, I'm not switching up the way I play now.
Yeah.
And you're literally going to be asking him to do that.
Phil Jackson who's back coaching LA now, right? Phil Jackson had to throw his.
This is my
shade.
spicy Phil. This is the Phil I like.
Slim Shady Phil Jackson. There are deteriorating returns for a guy who's 7'1", 300, whatever he is. Coach Phil Jackson told reporters, but if Shaq can find a way to get it back, he'll certainly be a presence to be contended with down there. But yeah, to your point, the deal is seen with a lot of question marks because of how poor Shaq has played for Miami, how bad Miami's looked, and how Sean Marion was the defensive anchor for the Suns, a team that didn't really play a lot of defense to begin with. Yeah.
He guarded a lot of the point guards that would give Steve Nash issues.
Yeah,
that was the
he
thing.
would guard wing guys, obviously, also.
Yeah,
and so Steve Kerr, GOAT, fucking love you, Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr is quoted, apparently 71% of people in America think this was a bad deal. Then he goes, I told Shaq that, and then he said, that makes me angry, and I play best when I'm angry. Fucking stupid ass.
All the more reason why if Shaq's completely healthy at this point, and he's angry, his very first game is against the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yes, it is.
All says that he should start wilding if he's still that guy.
Yeah, and he should make an immediate impact. But by dumping Marion, the Suns lose much of their already mediocre defense. That's hard to believe.
Yeah.
These quotes are savage. O'Neal's defense, even if he gets in better shape, has been declining sharply. So, like, there's very much, like, the league, there's a certain section of the league that's looking at this like a panic trade. Like,
sure.
We're putting in all the chips right now.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Exactly. Like, you got Lakers who are crackheads at this point in Lamar Odom saying, oh, you guys are just scared of us.
He's not doing crack yet.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe he got like 3 more years for that. But still, like,
he's got won Sixth Man of the Year. And
he's sniffing at this point. 100% he's sniffing. Like, he gets to the crack later. Yeah, so.
But
no
yeah,
offense,
he did
Lamar. I'm sorry.
He did say Pau Gasol has got people scared.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Big old Powie boy.
And that's probably true. There's probably some truth to that. There's probably a little bit of truth in everything that we're kind of bringing up here.
That's insane, though. Like, imagine Pau Gasol getting traded at that point. Like, no one gave a fuck about Pau Gasol until he went to the Lakers. And you want to know why?
Because that trade was a screw job. But
you know why,
main reason.
Russell. You know why? They were scared shitless. Because they looked at it and they're like, yo, these last 2 years, Kobe been wilding. Kobe been literally taking out souls. Just boom, go to hell. Damn.
So Mike Fratello on NBA TV was talking about Steve Kerr, saying, as Steve Kerr, you're looking at your team and you're looking at the window of opportunity. You've been close so many times. You know Steve Nash is getting older. He turned 34 in February. And Grant Hill is getting older. He's 35. And you wonder how many more chances you'll have. When the window closes, you have to move, like Miami did, winning the 05-06 championship. Now you see where they are.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what this trade is all about. They're trying to avoid that before it's too late. And
by getting the same player that made that happen. That made that happen to the Miami Heat.
Logic is, elusive. Elusive.
Yes.
But to your point, who's the first team that Shaq's going to see? An old friend, a familiar amigo / foe. The the Lakers.
Yeah. And Kobe give them a nice 41 piece.
Yeah, because Kobe, I'm sure Kobe wasn't motivated at all. I'm sure.
Yeah. Kobe went, here you go, take that. Raw dog 2, no sauce. Just take this 41 piece. I want to see
Powell
go down
also
your throat.
motivated. 29 points. Savage. Only 3 rebounds, but 29 points. Pretty good. One of his first Laker games.
Kobe was Dick Cheney, just giving out cock throughout the whole.
I was going to say, Kobe was giving that Dick Cheney.
Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. Why we ain't talking about Kobe's field goal percentage though? Like, I like how everybody wanna, like, these are the kind of games that people watching, like, this is Kobe at pure dominance. Like, this is the shit that we talk about, and people just act like it doesn't exist. You fucking weirdos.
The Lakers won the game behind a 41-point effort from Kobe, but the Suns came away feeling that perhaps they finally have found the missing player in their 40-year scavenger hunt for an NBA championship. I think you see some potential out there, Mike D'Antoni said, and we can get even better. Playing in his first game in a month, Shaq threw his weight around, drawing double teams and thunderous applause from the capacity crowd. In 29 minutes, he produced 15 points, 9 rebounds, 2 block shots, and a few indelible snapshots that we'll be playing on your screen of him making nice plays. He did have a lot of cool plays in this game.
Yeah, he had like a cool post pass, nice little quick easy layup. It was cool.
But I was in better shape than I thought I was, said Shaq, who had 9 points in 8 minutes in the fourth quarter. Said Mike D'Antoni, I thought he'd run out of steam in the fourth quarter, but he didn't. Which I would have felt the same way if I was Mike D'Antoni making this big motherfucker run up and down the court. What was the pace of this game?
Russ,
101. Holy food.
Yeah. Who's the Suns shooting guard again?
Raja, who? Yeah. That's the one.
Yeah.
Raja.
Guys, 0 points. This guy's supposed to be the guy guarding Kobe. Points. Yo, I've never seen a 41 to zip, like, kind of matchup. Have you ever seen shit like that? 16 or 25. Kobe was just like, here you go. Here you go. This is his cock, guys. Look at it. This is his cock. And you know, like, this fist is like the... Yeah. You already know what was happening, man. Stop playing, man. HR Live. This is my only time to get to talk about Kobe for the episode. You know, we have to do once a episode. This was it.
The Kobe counter?
It just took a while. It took a little bit, but
we got there. The Suns acquired Shaq from the Heat to grab defensive rebounds and ignite the fast break, set picks and make space for Nash, and clog the middle so that the other team's low post production is reduced to a trickle. And much has been made of the fact that Shaq will be 36 next month. But Nash turned 34 this month, and nobody has taken more of a beating over the years. As much as anything has been able to slow him, it has been his own bulky back. Nash, talking about Steve Nash, Nash has now played 80 games in a regular season since 2004, when he returned to Pheonix. At 6'3" and 178 pounds, Nash looks like he could be knocked over by a defender's deep exhale. So, fucking Steve Nash is the straw, and the defenders are the big bad wolf, blowing his ass down. What a fucking bum. But Shaq is going to have in total a 17-11 record with Pheonix to finish out this year.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Can't complain.
And also 1 chokeout.
So this has been confirmed by Grant Hill, and I'll play that in a minute. But Gordon, what the fuck is this motherfucker's name?
I
can't pronounce this shit. Garignac. Sounds like Garignac. If you guys have ever seen Galaxy Quest, my guy Garignac, he's a goat. He's a giant rock monster. He'll be on your screen. There'll be a picture of him. But he fucking, I guess he was talking shit to Shaq.
That motherfucker.
Like, just kind of.
You don't get up the court fast enough.
Yeah, this is the 7 seconds or less, not the 7 fucking dinners or less.
Yo, I remember watching Shaq games with him in Pheonix, And there would be times that the whole team would run up the court, and Shaq would be like there after like 8 seconds. Like that was funny as shit, man. And they used to just laugh at him. Like Shaq was like Shaq is like a laughing stock. Next season, he's just like straight up like people laugh at him.
I wonder what fast is.
Oh, yeah,
so the Nuggets had a 100 pace. I think.
Where's the Sun? I want to know.
Phoenix are 6th.
Okay.
They're 6th in the NBA at 95. It's still completely different than the Heat, who were down here at the bottom at 87. Yeah.
But the Heat were perfect for what Shaq had, like how Shaq played.
Yes.
Like this is going complete opposite.
Which is why this drew so many from the league. Because people just didn't see this coming. Yeah.
So their pace didn't change that much. The Suns' pace didn't change that much.
No.
From 9. Yeah.
No. From
so it did end up
after Shaq.
Yeah. So it definitely did end up as Shaq had to deal with like the Suns' pace.
But when we get to the playoffs, I'm going to show you. I'm going to go through the pitfalls of that. But Gordon Girasek, I don't know, Gorignac, however you pronounce his name.
Yeah, just call him Gordon.
Tempted fate by talking too much for O'Neal's liking in a pregame locker room. I don't know what that means other than he was just calling him fat, ugly. Maybe he was being like, I don't know. Maybe he was talking shit about his mother. Maybe it was like, your mother looks good when
Shaq would be his
my
ass.
cum is all over your face.
Yeah,
it's all over her face. I love sprinkling semen on your mom's forehead. Maybe saying some shit like that. But he was loud, so I put him in a chokehold.
Funniest teammate.
Yeah,
it's your topic, so
lighten the mood a little bit.
Yeah.
But you play long. I played 19 years. Oof. You come across a lot of characters.
A lot of years.
But for me, hands down, it was Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, most of the stories
I can't.
I can't repeat most of the stories. But I mean, every day, I think he literally would come to practice every day thinking of how can I make everybody laugh. Shaq, I remember one time we get ready to play a big game against Dallas. As a matter of fact, I think it was a TNT game. We're fighting for playoff position. And after the pregame meeting, I go in the bathroom, I come out, and Gordon Girasek is laid out on the floor. And like the trainers are like trying to wake him up, Shaq choked him out. Like 18 minutes on the clock, we're getting ready to go out to play, and Shaq like put him in the sleeper hole because he was talking too much. He was talking trash to Shaq. So Shaq,
that's one funny.
He's not here to defend himself, Shaq. But I mean, it was
funny
like,
bully.
G-Hill, I told him don't mess with me, G-Hill. I told him.
I think if you ask Gordon Girasek right now, your funniest teammate, Shaq wouldn't be the answer that comes up.
It wasn't. Yeah, it was. I guess it wasn't funny then.
To which Steve Nash said, the game starts in 25 minutes, and this guy is about to die on the locker room floor. I'm going to play Grant Hill's rendition of the story now.
Shit. Yeah, that was funny as hell.
He's killing the guy. So I can murder you.
And he's like, it was a funny moment. And the guys are like, well, not funny for the guy.
Do you remember when I was talking about Amare Stoudemire a few seasons ago, and I was saying how Amare has this tendency to like turn it the fuck up at the end of the year, and like he's found himself in MVP conversations because of these things. Do you remember this at all? You can say no.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you can say no if you don't.
I remember you saying stuff about Amare.
So Amare before Shaq came, 22 or 23, 9, and 2.3 blocks, right? After, he's going to get put in MVP conversation because he's going to go to 29 and 9 with, I think the same 2 blocks a game. Yeah, 2.5 blocks a game. So he turns it up. And no, I lied. 1.7, 2.5 turnovers. But he's shooting 59%. And I wonder if taking Amare out of the center position, allowing Shaq to fill more of that up. I wonder if that helped Amare. I would have thought that would hurt him, honestly, because it's
Really?
I would just think you need more floor spacing, in general.
So Amare's he's a slasher and he has a jump shot. Like
he doesn't have a great jump shot.
I think he's like it kind of works similar to like he plays more like a Wade than he does a Shaq.
Okay. I just was surprised that it helped him so much. This is a big year for him. I remember this specifically because people were like not considering him for MVP at all. And then after the All-Star break, he turned it up. He just turned it the fuck up.
I would say that he plays more like a Wade than a Shaq. You know what I mean? Because he didn't have like a crazy post game until later, like as his career kept progressing. He was more of a slasher because he had to, because it was a lot of pick and roll with Steve Nash, and it was a lot of just dunking at the rim and shooting mid ranges.
Legendary poster guy is Amare Stoudemire. Legendary. Sure. But they get to where did they finish? Where did the Suns finish? The 4 seed?
3rd seed.
Third seed? They're the 6th seed is Pheonix for that reason.
That's crazy.
Because
that's why they had to change that rule, because that just didn't make sense. Like a team like Pheonix shouldn't have played the Spurs. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But they have the 4th most wins, but they're going to be 6th because the Spurs and the Hornets, I think, are in the same division. And wow, it's just what a shit show. Yeah, you're right. They did have to fucking change that rule so bad.
Yeah.
But they do get the Spurs. Yeah, you're right.
Because the part that pisses me off the most is I would have much rather seen the Lakers dick down the Phoenix Suns in back-to-back season than having to do it to the Spurs. Like, there's no need to do that. Like, Kobe already did his damage to the Spurs, but at least it's like one of those, you know, a lot of people talk about how Kobe needed Shaq, all this stuff, so Kobe gets to dick down the Spurs in front of y'all without Shaq and, you know, stuff like that. But
Steve Nash said, most people would have thought it would be appropriate if we met in the conference finals, Nash told Phoenix reporters, but we'll get it out of the way early. There will be one very large new element to the rivalry because Phoenix and the Spurs have had a serious rivalry, such as the time when Steve Nash last year gets checked into the fucking the wall.
Yeah. The scorer's table, I think.
Yeah. He gets absolutely bodied into the scorer's table
by our homeboy.
By
Robert.
By Big Shot Bob. By the Bobinator.
That's why.
Bobby Chulo. Look at this. Bang!
Yeah, he popped his ass.
Some shit you'd see in hockey.
Do you think Steve Nash flopped?
Hell no. Because then Robert Ory's coming out and he just starts fighting Rajahu. Fucking, and look at does that look like a flop? Look at that fucker's nose. It's the wrong direction.
He broke his nose. I forgot. Yeah,
it's the wrong fucking.
But his
direction.
nose is always in the wrong direction, though.
Yeah, he's Canadian. He's Canadian.
Yeah, he got punched in the face at least 3 times.
But no. So they're going against the San Antonio Spurs, one of the best teams of the era, obviously, coming off a championship. They just slapped LeBron in the finals last year. That's we talked about that. It's available in our archives. LeBron's latest breakdown.
Yeah.
Just fat D delivered. But no, so there will be one very large new element to the rivalry. Shaq, the probable Hall of Famer, who joined Phoenix in February, the Suns had San Antonio and the All-Star forward Tim Duncan in mind when they acquired O'Neal and paired him with Stoudemire. Between them, Shaq and Duncan have been on teams that have claimed 8 of the last 9 NBA titles.
Yeah, insane.
Crazy when you put it that way.
Yeah.
Fucking stupid. But Game 1 is going to go to double overtime. An all-time classic, a hardwood classic. You'll see this on NBA TV. I've seen it a few times, this game. Because motherfuckers have huge games. Timmy D has 40 and 15, 5 assists, 3 blocks.
Yeah.
Tony Parker, 26 points. Ginobili, 24 points.
And Tim Duncan hits a clutch-ass 3 to tie him to go to double overtime, right?
Yep. Amare had 33. Nash had 25 and 13 this game. Double OT.
And only 2 turnovers. That's insane. That's actually like fire.
Yeah. That system is money. And
Shaq
knew how to run it better
30 minutes out of a double overtime game.
Yep.
Because he was in foul trouble.
As
and then
always.
it's almost as if like when I say Shaq's a liability, like it's true.
So here's where
crazy.
where I get to really explain why this trade that Pheonix made was a terrible fucking trade.
Yeah.
So in this series, you have two teams with 2 completely different ideologies. The Spurs are way more defensive historically, especially during this era. Way more known for their defense. And guys like Bruce Bowen, that's what they do. And they're going against this Pheonix team that is supposed to be run and gun, lots of threes. They run you out of the gym with threes. What is the pace? The pace is 88.1.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta believe, and this is just one of the reasons, but I gotta believe, as even though he has 5 fouls, that Shaq isn't helping pick the pace back up, especially in the playoffs when every possession counts. Like, he's
not,
and then
he can't.
And then you want, like you said, you want Steve Nash to have some relief in the half-court situations, but you can't do that when this guy's fucking 5 fouls in and can barely play in overtime.
And the biggest issue,
so he plays almost the whole overtime and only scores a basket. That's it.
Yeah, but the biggest issue is they really wanted him a lot for their rebounding issues. Right. And they still get out rebounded in this game. It's closer, but when Shaq's only getting you 5 rebounds, he's not really he's like Shawn Marion could have done that.
And it's weird because he leads the team in rebounding like by a lot when he gets there, like for the regular season.
Yeah.
In Pheonix for this regular season, he's almost at 11 rebounds a game.
Yeah.
Like, that should be easy. But what have we seen Shaq do against Tim Duncan and the Spurs, even in his peak? The numbers were down. The rebounding was down. Like, Popovich just does a good job scheming against Shaq. And speaking of which, that's when we get to the rest of this series. Game 1 is obviously the closest game. You don't get a lot of double overtime games like this.
Yeah.
But after this, San Antonio is going to completely get the game down to a pace that they're really happy with by going to the Hack-A-Shaq. To me, this is the quintessential, like, if your grandkids are getting into basketball and they're like, what is the Hack-A-Shaq? What is that? This is what you show. You show them this series.
Yeah, for sure.
First half, Shaq's only going to go to the free throw line twice. And Suns are going to be up 61-54. Right?
Yep.
All the big 3 are the only people with points for San Antonio. The big 3 are the only people with fucking points. Right?
Oh, we got Brett Berry with 1-3.
With 1-3. Fucking Suns are all over the place. Amare absolutely slapping 25 points, giving the fattest penis in the first half.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're going to be up. And then this third quarter comes. And you put Shaq to the line 8 times in the quarter. 8 times, 4 separate trips, bringing the game to a snail's pace.
Yeah.
Pace for this quarter, they don't have quarter by quarter pace numbers, but the pace for this quarter has got to be, and I mean got to be, under 85. Like, it's got to be super, super low.
Yeah.
And you take the ball out of Amare's hands, you get him off rhythm when you do that. You don't allow Steve Nash to get working and get him past the ball, so you don't let him do it, man. You don't allow him to do that.
They don't
and
get
now
a
all
rhythm.
Of a sudden, and now exactly, nobody gets a rhythm. And now you have the Spurs able to come back pretty easily because the defense isn't there for the Suns.
Yeah. So it's like it's like a perfectly executed plan by Pop, because he knows their biggest issue is their defense.
Yep.
And then their biggest issue offensively is Shaq's free throws. So that was pretty.
But I don't think Phoenix properly prepared for that because they didn't really know. They only got Shaq in February. Like, yes, in theory, you think, oh, yeah, we can't have this guy at the free throw line. It's a liability. But when you really do the Hack-A-Shaq to this level of efficiency, second half, he's going to put up 12 of the free throws that he has, 12 out of 14. So it's all trying to come back in the second half. And this formula will be used for years after this point for people past Shaq. And
Simmons.
Yeah, exactly. And DeAndre Jordan, Andre Drummond, all kinds of guys historically. Giannis try to get the Hack-A-Shaq going. This game, Parker's going to have 41. But look, once again, right? Second half numbers in game 3. Shaq 4 of 5 from the free throw line, right? So you're starting to think, you think to yourself, oh, it looks kind of, they're making him look stupid. But look, first half, he was 5 of 12.
Yeah.
So the damage has been done. You get, it kills you. And in the first half,
especially starting it out like that automatic, like you need a rhythm to start out the game. And if you just messing up the rhythm, Shaq making 4 or 5 free throws, it doesn't matter. Like,
no
at that point, they could have scored, like, within that same amount of time, they could have scored like 3 to 4 buckets.
And the pace maintains in San Antonio's favor. The slower the pace, the better ultimately for them. So they don't need to. And then, in the second half, all you have to do is maintain the lead that you had, and they're able to do that. It's closer, obviously.
Yeah. Well, they're not gonna. The whole point is they're up. They're beating them by 20. So like they don't have to Hack-A-Shaq you anymore. Like you have to figure out how to get back in the game.
Yep. And I just think all these things have destroyed what made Phoenix so special. Like, Phoenix didn't have great defense, but they didn't have to worry about the black hole in the middle of the paint. Like they could just run their offense and keep moving and keep moving. Now, when you get the ball, instead of moving and moving and moving, somebody's fucking fouling Shaq first thing. Doesn't matter whether he has the ball or not. Like, it's just it's a total annihilation. Shaq,
and I think
that's going to play well in game 4, though. What were you going to say?
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest issue, like with Shaq in general. Like once he got to this point in his career where he no longer was dominant, like I feel like that's where he just became a huge liability,
right?
Because he couldn't play defense, and now you get it. Now you're fouling all the time. You're putting your team at like the biggest disadvantage.
Absolutely, and it's something you've said before. 100%.
Yeah, and those disadvantages get like expanded significantly in the 7-game series. Yeah. Like, and Shaq hadn't the moment Shaq at this level Shaq got put in a 7-game series, it got like exploited immediately.
Yeah, because and it's also look how many minutes he's playing in this game where he played pretty well. 23 minutes, only 3 personal fouls, which means he was benched in the second half of this game. I think in the first quarter he comes out and he goes off, right? Yeah. 9.7 rebounds, 5 of 8 from the free throw line. Spurs once again trying to Hack-A-Shaq, stay in the game.
Yep.
Right? So they get smacked 34-13. Right?
Yeah.
So now they're coming back. They do much better in the second quarter to the Spurs. And so now you're looking at the second half. How much time does Shaq play in the second half?
It was a 30-piece. They were beating them by 30. That's why he probably didn't play much in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, but only 5 minutes for the entire second half. Which means as soon as they were up, they took them the fuck out. Because now
for sure.
you literally can't have them in the game. Because if you keep them in the game, they're just going to foul him.
Yeah.
They're just going to foul him. So you've eliminated the biggest part of why they wanted to have him. Like, you took away his availability completely by the Hack-A-Shaq stuff.
Yeah.
And they're completely unable.
Especially when you're paying someone $20 million
Yep.
to do that, like that becomes a big issue.
And here we go. To last but certainly not least, pace 91.5. Again, slow, right? Shaq 9 of 20 from the free throw line. 14 in the first half. So the Spurs said, fuck it, we're going to try and get them early and then just see if they can come back. Kind of like the opposite of the last game.
Yeah.
And they're going to go up 54-45. This is literally the best I've ever seen the Hack-A-Shaq work. We've looked at so many of these games where Shaq has these high free throw numbers, but it doesn't work nearly as systematically as what we're seeing right here.
It's because, and the main reason is because typically Shaq's teams are top 10 defenses in the league.
True. Very true.
From 2000 to now, I mean, until last season, they were probably top 10 defenses in the league. So it becomes
Miami's defenses were fantastic. Lakers' defenses were, for the most part, very good. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that. The only one that wasn't was the 01 Lakers. That wasn't.
And 04. And 04 defense.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But no, I it's just like, it's crazy how they, I don't know. I was blown away by how much Shaq really had to do with them getting their ass beat here. Like, between the fouls and the Hack-A-Shaq, it's just insane.
Yeah. But I mean, it's also like you were going, like, they still had so much, like, they had a lot to try to figure out within a 2-month span. Pretty much, Shaq had to help with the chemistry, along with trying to blend with this fast-paced team. And I felt like it was I could completely look at it from the Suns' perspective as it was trying to do stuff very quickly, and then you had to go against one of the best teams in the league, who was the previous champions. So I'm sure that they looked at it as we just got a bad hand dealt to us.
For the series, the Suns are 64% from the free throw line. For the whole series, for 5 games, 64%.
I wish we could look up free throw percentage without Shaq. I'm sure it's like in the 80s.
We could, right? Don't you just take away his free throws? Do it that way? Basic math?
Yeah. Yep.
So here you go. So I may not be good at math, but I can figure that part out, right? So in total, 152 free throws. Shaq took 64 of them.
Okay, 88.
So those are attempts. So then 97 makes, 32 for Shaq.
74%. So they didn't shoot that great.
Yeah, but Shaq just tanks it even harder.
Yeah.
32 of 64.
I mean, making it
more than half. Or almost a little bit less than half, but it's fucking substantial. I'm going to try and find 64% for the series. I'm going to try and find the worst free throw percentage for a team for a playoff series, because this has got to be in the top 10. I've never seen that. 64% for the whole team?
Yeah.
That's a short list.
Yeah.
That's got to be one of the worst ever.
Playoff teams for sure, too. Like,
Yeah. In a playoff series. If I can find that information, I'm going to find it. But, wild year for Shaq. Really, like, all over the place. Goes from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows. And
Shaq
really,
was very close to another sweep. Like, he was really lucky that his team was like way better than before. Like, because they pretty much didn't win because of him. They won despite him. That won the game, you know. So
and as soon as they started winning a little bit, they had to take him right out of the game. But we are moving along, and we are almost to
got 3 more seasons.
3 more arduous, fucking rough, fucking not exactly prime seasons from Shaq. But where are we headed next year? We stand. We got 1 more year in Pheonix. With Shaq.
One thing that's really interesting about this season in particular, like, I thought this was gonna be like obviously there would be some drama, but there was a lot of like stuff that you learned. You know what I mean? Like, no one talks about these seasons, especially like in perspective of Shaq.
Looking from Shaq,
yeah. So it's pretty cool to like learn a little bit more about what he went through. So.
Yeah, and it's also like I feel like certain things get looked at with 10 years of hindsight very differently than they did in the moment.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
That's my favorite part about this show is like I love being able to look at things and like either one of 2 things. Either look at it as how it was then, or look at it like it's real news happening in 2020.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like one or the other.
Yeah.
But Shaq staying in Pheonix, let's see if he can remain relevant in the NBA. Hey guys, if you like what you heard, be sure to check out our YouTube channel. Just type in Apex Greatness on YouTube to see everything we put out this year. From legacy breakdowns to current NBA and NFL content. We have over 150 videos to binge if you're that type of person, or just to listen to in your spare time. We have about 2 to 5 hours of new content every week. Check us out. Later.